How's your that platform you're releasing all your content on?
Hmm.
You started that, I think it was like what, first week of ISO now?
Yeah, started that super early on. It's been a little bit quiet recently because I've been so busy with writing an album actually at the moment. And so it's like kind of been put on the back burner, but I'm glad I've just started it, because when I get like inspired by it in time, I just want to keep releasing like other people's music that I love through this platform.
Yeah.
It's kind of gonna based off like, hopefully with the next generation of music that I release, I'm hoping that it'll be kind of a platform where it's just my taste in music, and if people are fans of me, they'll probably go onto the platform and follow it because they love, you know, an artist's taste in music. I think is one of the coolest things when you hear like Flume's taste, his playlist. You really get to like listen to what they're listening to, and it's kind of the sound of now is essentially just a brand developed around my taste.
What's got you into music? How did you start off? Like, are your parents musos or?
Yeah, so no one in my family, like just in my like mum and dad and brother, were really doing music at all. Was in love with just music just from listening. I was the biggest fan of music, which is why I got into it. I was very inspired by electronic dance from the very start. So when I was like 13, I would like just be listening to music. That's all I would ever want to do. I didn't want to even talk to people sometimes. I just wanted to be on my own. Very introverted, like deep thinker of music, and music would help me a lot. So I felt very connected to it, and you know, it like really changed my life. So then I wanted to just spread this message on, and hopefully then make the new sound, and hopefully people like myself can have the same experience. You know what I mean? I've always had a little bit of anxiety, and music would always help calm me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a very high energy person, and music for me is like, yeah, it's peace. I started DJing and then was like sick of playing other people's music. So I was like, oh, I've got to play my own. So I started making it, and I downloaded a cracked version of Free Loops. So I cracked it, and I was like, let's see how I go. Yeah. And then I was good. And then I was like, all right, what do my idols use? I saw like Flume and stuff we use in Ableton. So I was like, all right, that's me. Jumped on. And then I've never looked back, and Ableton is my home.
How did you get signed? Like, you started off independent, and then there you made a name for yourself, or what was?
Independent, released one song that had some success. It went on and hit a million streams, and this was all by ourselves, and we didn't do anything about it. We just like kind of, the universe is all I'm going to say, helped us out at the right timing, because it's all timing, and the right opportunities came to us and we made the most of them. With meeting the right people in Spotify, playlisting directly, and then they personally helped us out. And like all these connections just like seem to naturally happen. And I don't know how, to be honest. It just happened. Like, it feels like a weird manifestation. Yeah.
You take it when it happens.
Of course, man. It's being open to the opportunity and seeing it in front of you, and being really sensitive to your surroundings, I think is so vital with this. Yeah, for music to go well. You have to look at everything.
And so when you started working with the independent record label, the record label, did you start doing live gigs, or what? You know, your first.
I was gigging prior. They were kind of more just like record labels, so like they weren't really having much of an input into my live side of things, live performance. I'm signed with a booking agent, New World Artists, and they're doing a lot of my booking. Since signing with them, which was only quite recently, the gigs have gone up through the roof, like when obviously we were gigging. And they obviously, like, you know, once you're on it's the same like booking agent as like All Day, Mall Rat, Silverchair, all these big acts. And once you're on something like that, all of a sudden your like fee, for example, goes up with it. So then all of a sudden I was living off music.
So do you remember your first gig?
I do.
Your first live gig, how was that?
Like my first ever DJ set was probably my first gig, and I was 16 at a 16th birthday party, and it was so hilarious. I was running 2 iPads and a mixer, and I was DJing off iPads.
Since then, obviously your gigs have gotten way bigger. Is there a favorite one that stands out?
There's 2 that I probably couldn't choose from. I reckon Split Milk would probably be the best and biggest, because we were playing before Benny, who's now like on the world charts, and then Tones and I was the one after them. We were just like, us 3 were the first 3 acts. It was like a crazy experience to interact with them and be on that type of level festival stage. So that was definitely the biggest and best. And then my favorite, like to close to home first impression, was probably St Kilda Festival.
So when you say we, is this, so there's you and there's also, is it Noah as well, or is that?
Yeah, all those sets where it was Maddie, Herbert, Hugh, and Noah. Yeah.
Yeah. And like when
Yeah,
you guys are collaborating, like how do you guys like who calls the shots? Is it very natural, or is it like how do you guys collaborate like
yeah.
creatively?
Well, yeah. So when for a live performance, they don't really have much of an input. I design the whole set. They just like kind of come along to feature on top of the set. I'll design the whole set from start to finish and take out their vocals on certain tracks so they can sing them live. And then I show them all just like a couple of days before. Then they get their heads around the set, and then they just come out on stage on their cue. I give them all a cue on the set. And then that's kind of how the live stuff happens. And then when in the music studio, it's very collaborative, bouncing back and forth with each other. Yeah.
Mm. And so, like, is there a time where you guys butt heads because you have the same, like, different ideas, and like, how do you guys solve them?
I've never butt heads with Noah ever. We've got the exact same taste in music and direction. At the moment, it's like I'm working with Hugh and Noah very closely because we've formed a 3-piece band. Mm-hmm. It's 2 male vocalists and me on the production. And,
cool.
Yeah.
And what are you guys calling yourselves?
Bot World.
Okay. And so is this what you're working on right now?
Yeah, that's the album. So we've got 4 tracks that are done.
Yeah.
I need about 6 or 7, I think. And then, yeah, we're going to go up to Sydney for a week. They're flying us up, and we'll be working on the album with all these producers and top liners.
Cool. So it's a full album. So it's something like you guys still releasing full albums and not like less tracks. So it's like full.
It'll probably be less. When I say album, I just mean collection.
Yeah. Just okay. It's like, yeah, the trend is to have less tracks nowadays, all released at once, and more do like them over time, I guess.
Yeah, no, I love the idea of releasing singles independently, and it'll probably be that format. It'll just be like every month or 2, there'll be a new one, but they'll all have a very similar style, and then they'll probably all end up in the end, once they've all been released individually, like the last song might tie them in together, and then all of a sudden they're in one album.
And what's the time frame on that? When are you guys hoping? I mean, past COVID and all that.
Yeah, hopefully this year we're hoping. It's very new because we didn't realize we were a project until Jackson, who's the A&R for Sony, was like, you guys need to form a band because I can hear something very special. And then we did, and we actually heard what he heard, and it's probably the best music we've ever like written ourselves. And then it's like the most exhilarating like childhood dream.
Going back to like when you started getting into music, when you think back at it, is there any bad advice they've ever given you?
I don't know if there is such thing as bad advice in the sense that no one's ever intentionally given me, because every time someone's given me advice that hasn't necessarily like aligned with me or my workflow or something, I feel like I try their advice and I'll realize it doesn't really work. I'm like, oh, that's good to know that doesn't work. Yeah. So it's kind of like giving me more clarity with my direction. Yeah. But I can't think of anything off the top of my head that's bad advice. You know what I mean? There's plenty of good ones.
Okay. So, well, speaking of, then what would you consider like good advice that someone has given you?
Yeah, I reckon like quantity equals quality with the right filters. And I can explain what that means. And that's with like releasing music. So for example, with this Bot World project, we probably want to write like 20 songs. And then you probably slice that in half or like less and release 7 out of the 20. So like quantity will equal quality with the right filter. So just like, it's like a sense in the music world, I think it's so important to not get attached to anything and just write and smash out songs like this and don't get attached to one of them. Put your heart into every one of them, get heaps of them, and then cut down like half of them, delete the rest, release just the very good ones, because essentially all the magic in music when you're writing, it happens within the first hour of a session.
Have you ever had moments where you like struggled with things in the industry?
Most of the time, like before this booking agent, I really struggled to try live off it. Yeah.
So is that the industry's structure?
I feel like there's obviously still money in music, and I think that's all in gigs these days. Yeah. But for like the songwriters and stuff who aren't exactly touring, I feel like they're getting like 5 cents a stream on Spotify as their royalty. You know what I mean? It's like it's really hard to live off that type of money. And I'd say back when I was starting, just getting enough money to just do it, because otherwise you have to have a full time, and then that does get in the way of your creative flow a lot.
What would you consider your greatest success?
I'd say Split Milk, but also just having almost 3 million streams on Spotify is like probably the biggest success point.
looking back at how you got where you are, like, is there anything you do differently?
It's honestly just be the best person you can.
Yeah.
Be as nice as you can, because you never know how someone's going to help you, is what I've noticed. And like it's so bizarre. I mean, you meet someone and then you meet, like, I'll even give us an example. Through Amy, dating Amy, I met this guy called Josh, who then ended up running like the Bushfire Day Appeal, and Golden Features was headlining. And he was like, oh man, like, met you a long time ago at Amy's 21st. How I want to chuck you on. Like, it's all weird, like how it all kind of lines up.
Yeah.
There's no rule of thumb, and all of a sudden people go like, how do you get these gigs? Like, what are you doing? Like, and I'm like, I don't know.
Do you have any favorite artists that you still listen to now? Or do we all have to go?
Yeah, no, it's funny. Like, and as cliche as it kind of sounds, like my childhood favorite who inspired me, and still kind of, I was listening to him actually just before you jumped on this call, is Calvin Harris.
Okay, yeah.
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 He's like, in my eyes, like, he's done so well for himself, and it's just like the vibe and the level of like quality is just out of this world in my eyes, what he does. Yeah, I'm sure he has a huge team behind him, but besides that, you know, it's amazing art that they're making. Guys, thanks for tuning in. My name is Jamo. Catch me on Instagram at its.jamo, Facebook at Jamo, and Spotify at Jamo. Oh, that's horrible. I got to do another one of them.